Hi guys, and welcome to the first teaching shorts video. In this episode I will be introducing you to the head joint and some methods for creating your first sound. So let's dive straight in. Okay, so here is the head joint made by the amazing Tobias Manker. Let's start off by looking at the parts that make up this flute head joint. So depending upon the materials that the head joint is made of, there are up to 4 parts that are actually visible. The first is the tubing, which is this here, which on this particular flute head joint is made of silver. The second is the lip plate, which on my head joint is made of grenadilla wood and is a very dark brown or black in colour. The third part is the crown, which aptly sits on the top of the head joint. The final and least conspicuous is the riser or the chimney. Now this is actually visible on my head joint because it's made of platinum and is therefore really strikingly different to the colour of the lip plate. So here is the head joint, the lip plate is here, the chimney or the riser is this bit here. So as you can see, it's quite obviously different in colour. So inside the tubing you'll actually find a piece of cork that sits up here inside, but we don't need to worry about that just yet. Now let's get into the practical portion of this video in which you can learn how to make your first sound, or if you're already experienced as a flute player, then you can get back to those basics and really focus on the sound you're making. The method that I find best for finding your starting embouchure, and the word embouchure is to do with the size and shape of your lips. So the way that I find is best to find that embouchure is to take the head joint with both hands and place the embouchure hole, which is the hole that we saw earlier where the riser or chimney links the lip plate to the tube. So this embouchure hole needs to be centrally located on your lips. And what I mean by that is that where your two lips join, that almost wonderfully horizontal line needs to be directly halfway across the hole. So you roll the head joint in to find this and you pop it on your lips when your mouth is closed, and the line between your two lips, that horizontal line, goes straight through the middle of the embouchure hole. So it might take a bit of adjustment, a little bit of wiggling around, but once you've found that position, all you need to do to get into a playing position is actually to roll the head joint back out again. Now we don't want to roll it too far, otherwise the air's not going to go into the tube. So we find where the embouchure hole is bisected by the line in between your two lips. And once we've found that, we roll out until the closest part of the hole that is still attached to your face is touching the bottom of your lower lip. So this is how we would do it. Put the head joint on the lips. Roll out until you can just about still feel that this is still attached almost in the groove between your lip and your chin, so it's sort of resting there, and that the embouchure hole is still felt at the bottom of your bottom lip. Once that's done, you can now begin to make a sound. Like so. Now we can think about moving on to beginning to make a sound. Now we have to think of 2 things, and that is, one is the aperture, so the size and shape of the mouth, and 2 is the air. Now the air is possibly the most important because the flute is a woodwind instrument, and the clue is in the name. It can only create a sound if there's air vibrating down the tube. So let's think about the air, because the aperture, without us really realising that we've done it, we've actually figured out how to do it when we've done our exercise like that. We're nearly there, we're nearly ready with the aperture. So let's focus on the air for a second. So imagine it's January, which it is outside. I'm looking outside into my garden. It looks a bit bleak, you know, the leaves are still gone. And it's a bit chilly. So imagine you think, oh, how can I warm myself up? I know, a hot cup of tea. Let's go make a cup of tea. So you've come back, you've got this hot cup of tea, and you're cradling it in your hands because you think, oh, that's nice and warm. But you think, I want to be warm on the inside as well. How do we do that? We drink the tea. But it's boiling, right? It's really hot. So how do we then make that tea colder without having to wait half an hour for it to cool down? We blow on it, right? So what we want to do with our lips and our lungs and our abdomen is fill them up with air as quickly as possible. So what we do is we imagine a yawn and we go, oh, and there's loads of air in there now. And then we just go, yeah, and we try and get a quick burst of air, because a quick burst of air, the faster the air, the cooler it is. So if you imagine blowing on a cup of tea, obviously you don't want to be too quick and too harsh, because if you blow really quick and really harsh and it's really fast air, the tea will just explode. It will go everywhere. Okay? So imagine that cup of tea. So we want to control that air, and you'll notice that when you do that, it's your abdominal muscles that are actually controlling the exit of the air. Okay? So now that we've got that hot cup of tea kind of air, the second thing we want to look at is the aperture. Now we've already got the flute head joint in a great playing position, and we've got fast, cool air. Now, in order to make the aperture work, you've realised actually that when blowing that hot cup of tea air, your aperture has created quite a small hole. And that's good. That's what we want. We don't want anything too big because the air will go everywhere. Yeah? So we want that small-ish aperture. We want that fast air. And we want to remember the method that we used to put the head joint in the correct playing position. So let me demonstrate for you. So remember that we take the head joint like so. We roll it in when it's on our lips to make sure that the gap between our two lips bisects the middle of the embouchure hole. So it ends up looking like this. And then once we've got that, we roll it out. Once we've rolled it out, we think, yeah, I can still feel the edge of the hole against the bottom of my lip. Now what was the next step? That was breathing. So we need to take a huge breath. Huge breath. So everything is full, almost like a yawn, like a, yeah. And then once that's done, we need to use that small hot cup of tea, fast air aperture. And we've made a sound. So don't worry if you don't get this the first time. It's really difficult to master, and not many people actually get it. Not many people get it right first time. In fact, I would say it's probably only really tiny percentage of people that do. So if you haven't made it, don't worry. You can just rewind this bit of the video and you can keep trying. Or if it's this method that doesn't work for you, I'm sure there's another method. And please leave down in the comments if there's something that you'd like to see, if you'd like to see me redo this video with a different method. Once we've made a decent sound, or hopefully a decent sound, we can actually start playing around with new notes. And you don't even need the rest of the flute to do it. So put the head joint back in that playing position that we worked on earlier. And take your index finger on your right hand and position it near the end of the tube. So put it in the tube. Yeah, that's good. And play. Doesn't make much difference, does it? But we have a note. Now, if you play the note and we move the finger in the tube as you're playing the note, we actually change notes. Yeah? There we go. So we've actually made loads of different notes there just by using the head joint. So to make it a bit cleaner, let's just play a couple of notes without the finger in quick succession. Yeah. And now put the finger a little bit into the head joint and do the same again. And now try 2 out and 2 in. Yeah. And now, from where your finger is positioned now, put it even further in. We've got 3 notes. Now, let's see what happens. We can actually do a whole scale, or at least part of the scale. Yeah, it's not perfect because your finger isn't the best judge of where the note should be. But with practice, you can actually play tunes on the head joint. So, again, it's a difficult thing to master. You've got to get the sound right. You've got to get the lips right. You've got to get the air right. And then you've got to think about where the finger's going. So, don't worry too much if it doesn't happen straight away. You can rewatch parts of this video, or, as I said earlier, if you have any comments and you think of maybe there's another method that I could try to teach you, please do let me know in the comments. So that's all for this video. Thank you guys for staying tuned until the end. I really hope that I've managed to address this topic thoroughly enough for you and that you can continue your flute journey. Please leave a like if you enjoyed today's video and leave a dislike if you didn't. If there's something that you really wish that I'd addressed, pop a suggestion in the comments section below. I try to read and respond to every single comment if I possibly can. Finally, don't forget to subscribe, which is also down below, and hit that notification bell, which is right next to the subscribe button, so that will let you know when all the new content drops. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.